Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coach Craig's Sports. This is the Monday Night Football, going over the single game Showdown Slate for DraftKings. As always, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through the inactives for tonight's game, going through some of the pricing for the slate overall, talking about the players, guys I like, the guys I don't like, and then building a couple different lineups. If you haven't been here before, thank you for joining. But typically, about 45 minutes before lock or game time, whatever you want to call it. And then going about 20, 30 minutes, just kind of talking through everything overall. But we're going to get started with the inactives for tonight's game. There's a couple ones that are of note here, I guess, tonight. So Josie Jewell is not playing at linebacker for the Broncos. That opens up some other opportunities. Alex Singleton probably will take his place. Going to be a good game for Austin Eckler, maybe Gerald Everett, just catching some of those linebackers in coverage. Jewell wasn't like specifically great in coverage, but the last healthy season he did have, he was better. So Albert Okwuegbunam is inactive tonight for this Broncos team overall. Obviously, he had high expectations coming in the year. Big news is Greg Dulcich is back off IR tonight. $200 play. Could be a very good dart throw out there. Darius Phillips, just a reserve corner. Don't really care about him. Caden Stearns is inactive tonight. I'm going to guess that he's banged up too, because he's been playing in place of Justin Simmons, who is returning tonight. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out. Turner Yell, their other safety, reserve safety, mainly a special teamer, is not playing tonight. Uzurike, he's just a rotational defensive lineman that hasn't played all season, so not too worried about him overall. Let's see, we got David in here. David saying, what's up? So just going through some NFL stuff for tonight, David. Jalen Virgil is also inactive at wide receiver, but he has not played all season. We got the Chargers. Keenan Allen's out once again, so no surprises there. We pretty much know what to expect since he's been out 3-4 weeks at this point in time. Christian Covington, just a reserve defensive tackle, not really too concerned about him. But Corey Linsley, I didn't really pay him too much attention, I guess, or didn't really know that his injury was this bad that he was not going to be playing tonight. So that's kind of a big impact in their line. I believe Will Claps filled in for him at times this year. He's a decent backup, but you're going from, a Pro Bowl center to a decent backup at the same time. So that could affect the run game just a little bit, maybe a little bit in pass protection. Then we have Richard Rodgers, the tight end, hasn't really played too much this season. He was just active mainly at the beginning of the year just because Donald Parham was kind of banged up still from last year and whatnot. Isaiah Stiller hasn't played all year. Easton Stick, third quarterback, doesn't really matter. And JT Woods, the reserve safety. So none of those guys too big impact there. Keenan Allen's obviously the big one, Corey Linsley, and then we got Albert O and Josie Jewell on the other side. So we're going to get out of here real quick, and then we'll get switched over to DraftKings. So let me go back over here. We're going to screen share this and then get the DraftKings lobby back up, and we're going to find a contest to look at everything for. So going to do this $3 one. Kind of as we're going talking through it. I'm going to create a new lineup because I got about probably 6 lineups in already. I might end up sharing those by the end of the night, or by the end of the stream, I should say. By the end of the night, probably won't help you guys too much overall. Let's see. We got a question in here too. Do I think this will be a defensive game? I think this is a game that could go a lot of different directions. Obviously, Denver has a pretty strong defense. Their offense has not done too much yet. So when I was doing the Run the Sims projections, they have the do it yourself simulator where you can kind of plug in the numbers that you want to see. I was projecting, about 17 to 20 points for Denver, and then anywhere from 20 to 28 essentially for the Chargers. Definitely could be a lower scoring game than that. Also could be a higher scoring game than that too as well. It just kind of depends on how these offenses are able to move the ball overall tonight. And that's kind of the big thing, is when you're doing a single game showdown slate, you're building multiple lineups, most people are building multiple lineups. You could build a single entry lineup, but you're probably going to want to play something that's a little bit safer, or something that you just have some strong conviction the game's going to go this way or not. For most of my lineups, I'm entering things that are like 20 maxes, and I'm putting in 8 to 12 probably different lineups. Sometimes I do the full 20. Just depends on the slate overall. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Let me get back over here to the pricing. Once again, I go to the flex first, just because you only play one guy in the captain spot. We can take a salary 1.5 times that and figure it out pretty easily. And as we're building some lineups and everything like that. So Parker says here, what's a safe single lineup? So I don't know if there's quite a safe lineup tonight, but you're probably going to have something with like Justin Herbert. You're probably going to have Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, if you're doing safe. Maybe one of the Denver running backs, Melvin Gordon, Mike Boone, but Latavius Murray is active tonight too. So that kind of scratches that off a little bit. You might play Mike Williams, might play Cortland Sutton. The tight ends are pretty cheap for Denver if you want to go that direction too. Gerald Everett's reasonably safe, but just with the target share that he's been getting with Keenan Allen being out, we can try to build something that's a little bit more safe or cashy. You're probably throwing in a kicker or defense in that too as well. So Austin Eckler overall is $11,400. He's the top price player on the slate. Obviously, if you see his stats, he's got the highest fantasy points per game, so that's pretty reasonable there. He's going to be a very, very popular pick. And let me get up the captain percentages too, real quick. I had them up earlier, and then I accidentally closed out of that tab when I was loading everything up. So I'm pulling just captain ownership for DraftKings. Hold on. Let me go back here 1 second. I'm just trying to get this all pulled up again. Let's see. So let's see. We had another question here too for FanDuel, Eckler or Everett as captain. I think both of them can be very, I don't even know what the word is at this point, but I think they're both decent captain plays. Obviously, Eckler is going to be a little bit more popular. So you have that in mind there too. If you're playing Everett as the captain, you're really hoping he's the guy that goes off for the Chargers tonight. And you're probably playing Justin Herbert in one of the flex spots. So you kind of have to hope that Everett kind of outperforms him, or he's kind of the main target overall tonight. In terms of, let's see, where was that at? Because we were on Austin Eckler. His captain percentage is expected to be around 19% on DraftKings. Justin Herbert's obviously the next guy. Let's see if I can bring this up again. So Justin Herbert is at $11,000. Pretty reasonable price tag for him when you consider like some of these other showdown slates we've seen where Patrick Mahomes is $12,000. I think Lamar Jackson's been like $12,200. When you think of a guy of the caliber of Justin Herbert, the points that he could put up, $11,000 really isn't anything to sneeze at. He's at 16% projected ownership, which is pretty reasonable on this slate, I would say overall. The projection I did run earlier had him a little bit less than that, but definitely a lot of scenarios that he can come out on top. Mike Williams is at $10,600. Obviously, he's got the large target share. He's got a good chance of scoring a touchdown, if anything. I know some people were kind of talking up about Patrick Surtain the second, obviously, because he hasn't given up more than 63 yards to a opposing receiver all year, excuse me. But that also assumes that he's going to shadow him the whole time, and it really just takes one big play either way. So definitely have some interest in him. 12% about in the captain spot. And it's not really, it's pretty reasonable ownership there as well. Let's see where we're at now. So then we have Russell Wilson's $10,000. He's only 6% expected ownership in the captain spot. Obviously, these ownerships are going to vary contest to contest and everything like that. But this is just a general projection from Run the Sims. So there is some upside there. Obviously, he's been dealing with that shoulder injury, so we don't know exactly what we're going to get out of him. Maybe he doesn't throw the ball quite as much as he does on some other games, or until his shoulder gets better. But there's some opportunities there if he's still slinging the ball around. Obviously, Keenan Allen's out. Cortland Sutton at $8,400 is actually a pretty decent price tag overall. When we were talking about Mike Williams before, very similar type of wide receivers there, bigger, lanky guys. They got good target shares. Definitely have interest in both of them tonight. I'm not sure if I put Sutton in a captain spot yet or not in any of my lineups, but definitely would be something to consider. He's at 14% in the captain spot. So obviously Mike Williams is a little bit more discounted there, but obviously has the higher price tag as well. Melvin Gordon at $8,200. Looks like a decent play. He was questionable coming into the week, but he was always going to play pretty much. So he's 9% in that captain spot. I think you can definitely build some lines and some stories where we have him in the captain spot. You could do the same thing with Mike Boone if you really want to do that. But like I mentioned, there's going to be Latavius Murray this week. How much does he actually take away? Jerry Jeudy's at $7,000. He's not a bad price tag, but he's not anybody that I'm going out of my way to put in. He's a kind of a filler in some of my different flex spots, but other than that, nothing too crazy. Josh Kelly is $6,400, which actually seems like quite a bit for him, but he's kind of been that second fiddle running back for the Chargers this year. Sony Michel's $200 less than him. Not getting a whole ton of them, but I do have maybe one or two lineups that are, I think 1 out of 6 lineups that I have built so far that have Josh Kelly in it, just kind of to be a little bit different, just in case he scores a touchdown or something like that. Sony Michel hasn't been getting enough run personally for me. We get down to Josh Palmer, and $5,800 is actually a pretty interesting price tag for him. Obviously, we'd like to see his target share be a little bit higher this season, but it's not a bad price tag. He's only projected about 4% in the captain spot, 22% in the flex spot. So he's not a bad play by any ways, not super chalky or anything like that. Very reasonable price tag. If he gets in the end zone, he's going to look pretty good. Same thing can be said about Gerald Everett, who I kind of went on about a little bit already. And I think he's a decent play tonight. He's obviously getting the target volume, $5,600. Decent little captain play tonight, kind of a sneaky play overall. Let me see his captain percentage again is 4%, 28% projected in the flex spot overall. So you see Michael up in here, and he's asking who's a cheap player. So cheap player for tonight is probably going to be one of the most popular ones. Is probably going to be Greg Dulcich at $200 since it's his first game. Everybody's excited about the rookie player and everything else like that. If you want to get into some other guys, you could take shots on KJ Hamler, DeAndre Carter, Eric Sobert, $2,000 as well. He's been that primary tight end in the last couple games for Denver overall. Sometimes he gets 4 or 5 catches, nothing crazy there. Michael Bandy, maybe Xander Horvath if he scores a touchdown, but that's kind of where we're at in terms of the cheap ones. I'm trying to figure out where I was at once again for the regular ones. Looks like we have our special guest tonight, JCMoneyDesign, is up in here now too as well. So I'm going to try to add him, see if he can talk.
What's up, dude?
Yeah. So I'm just running through everything.
I don't know what happened though. As soon as you brought me in, now I can't hear you. So I don't know what the hell happened.
Maybe it's your mic or your headphones or something. Let's see. So we got a question here.
I'm gonna switch over and put it on my phone. So
Okay.
I'll hop onto my phone. All right.
Okay. Take you off for a second. So I think Everett might be good. Broncos struggle against the tight end position. Yeah, that was something that I brought up. They're not the best in coverage against that tight end position. We'll see how it looks, especially with Josie Jewell out tonight. Singleton's never been a guy that's been like great in individual coverage. He's a decent in zone coverage, but he's not anybody that's quick twitch or anything like that. So if he gets man to man against Gerald Everett, probably not going to look too good overall. Let's see. Getting back to where I was at. Mike Boone's at $4,800. He's definitely in play. Got a lot of run that last game. I'm kind of sick of seeing the Broncos on these slates overall. Just so many primetime games 4 out of the last 6 weeks. And this team's just not been that exciting overall. $4,400 for the Chargers defense. They're in play. You can play them. You can play them in the captain spot if you really want to. If you think Denver's offense is going to struggle, the Chargers defense should be better than they've played this season. But at the same time, they just haven't been that good yet. I believe Dustin Hopkins is kicking for them this game. I'm going to click on this just to make sure. Does not carry an injury designation, so he's definitely in play. He's a guy that's pretty popular overall. So maybe if you want to get off of him to McManus, save $200, a little bit less ownership, definitely would prefer to do that myself. Broncos defense, you could take shots there. You can build lineups where you have some running backs for this Broncos team overall, whether it's Melvin Gordon, whether it's Mike Boone together and the defense. Definitely a lot of different ways that you could build that overall. We're going to try to add JC back in here and see if he can talk or at least hear me this time. So let's see. Can you hear me? Can you hear me at all? Or not? Not sure. Let's see. So we got KJ Hamler. He's at $3,000. He's a guy I like taking dart throws on these Broncos slates, but it's just every time I've done it this year, it hasn't panned out. So I'm just of the frame of mind. I put enough lineups in anyways that I'm going to have some KJ Hamler exposure because he's a guy, if he gets deep, could pay off, but you still have the shoulder injury with Russell Wilson overall. Let's see here. Try to add this one maybe. Can you hear in this one?
I can hear you now.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn my volume down because you were pretty loud there. Yeah, so I was just talking about KJ Hamler. He's $3,000. He's a guy on all these slates I keep putting in my lineup. He doesn't pan out at all, but he gets that one long touchdown. Maybe it works out, but Russell Wilson's shoulder injury and all that.
What about Latavius Murray?
We're getting there. I think you should have exposure. Like if you're playing multiple lineups, you should have exposure to all the Broncos running backs. But it's a messy situation. Let's see what we got here. DeAndre Carter is next. He's $2,600. He had a couple decent games at the beginning of the year. It's not a bad price tag, but probably not anybody that's going to make or break your team overall. Probably just a flex fill-in more than anything. Eric Saubert, I already talked about a little bit. It was $2,000. He's been that main tight end for the Broncos. I mean, if he scores a touchdown, $2,000, he's worth it. Latavius Murray was next up at $1,600. How much of this offense does he actually know? How much run does he actually get in this game? That's kind of a whole big question there. I think when I was splitting up the carries before, the way you put it in the simulator, you give Russell Wilson like 12%, you give Melvin Gordon a little over 40%. I was giving Mike Boone a little over 30%, and then you got like 16 to 18% left over for Latavius Murray. I think they're probably going to roll with the guys they know better, but there's a chance that he comes in and like if he's running well, they're just going to keep him. Like they're not going to take him out of the game if he's playing well.
Be good for goal line work if they want to get him goal line work.
Maybe, but I mean, they trust Melvin Gordon down there so much, even if he fumbles all the time.
I don't understand that. I don't hate on Melvin Gordon. I think he's still a great running back. He just decides he wants to eat popcorn before he goes out on the field. It's just weird.
This year, apparently. I don't know why. And then Xander Horvath, $600. He's just the fullback for the Chargers, but he gets some goal line carries every once in a while. So if you want a dart throw, he's there. But I mean, you got these other dart throws down here. Michael Bandy's like the fourth wide receiver for the Chargers if you really want to do that. Was really good in the preseason, actually, though, but hasn't done much in the regular season. Then we have, let's see, Kendall Hinton's active for this game. He's $200. He's played a decent amount of snaps this year, but he's a guy, he might get you 5-6 points for $200. He's probably not going to score a touchdown. And they said they want to get KJ Hamler more involved in this game, so I'm probably not going to go after him too much. I believe Tyree Cleveland's also active. Trey McKitty's active at $200 if you want to get lucky there. Andrew Beck's the fullback. He's $200 as well for the Broncos. And then Greg Dulcich is the rookie out of UCLA making his first appearance coming off IR. How much does he actually play in this game? Well, Alberto isn't active, but Alberto was only playing like 20% of snaps last couple of weeks. So I think it's probably pretty safe to say that Greg Dulcich is just getting like, 10, 12 snaps in this game. If he does anything on the snaps at $200, you could be looking pretty good, but I think there's going to be a lot of people there as well. But I have some lineups built with him with $200.
And the only thing I worry about with him is him not being ready for blocking. Like if he comes in and he's not doing well at blocking, I think they just take him out,
Well, he's not a blocker. He's almost
Hackett's going to have to block a little.
I mean, like Hackett picked him out because he's kind of like similar to Robert Tonyan. He's kind of athletic. He's kind of an athletic white tight end that runs down the seam pretty decent, but not much of a blocker at all. But they got other guys that can block. I mean, Cyber can block, Beck can block, and Tomlinson can all block too. So when they have him in, they're probably going to try to use him in some route running and maybe get him the ball. But you still have to remember targets are earned either way. So he's got to be getting open. And if he's not getting open, like Jerry Jeudy's going to get open because he's got the route running. Might not catch the ball once he gets open, but that's one story for a different day. Cortland Sutton's going to win the contested catches and all that too. So there's options in that. So it's like, even if he's in the game, it doesn't mean he's getting targets. But definitely somebody to consider at $200. So I think building one real quick. Do you have a preferred captain you want to start with for one of these?
Well, I mean, if you want to save some money, you might as well go Everett. Because I was going to, all the lineups I just built one lineup. And I'm going to go back and kind of edit it. But
yeah,
I just, went with Eckler. But I think, you made a good point. Everett could be, save you a little bit of money in that champion or that captain spot, because it costs more when the captain spot. And you can, like I was telling you the other night on the Monday night one, the best captain wasn't, Kelsey, who went bananas. It was, the kicker. So the kicker was the best option because he saved you money and you were able to get more points by putting better players in. So sometimes that's helpful.
Yeah, the best lineup had the kicker in there. Kelsey would still be the highest scoring captain, but sometimes you have to play around with the money and whatnot too. So Gerald Everett's there. If you're playing him, you're going to play Justin Herbert because you got to throw him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing too, like you're probably going to play Eckler if you're playing this line too.
Yep.
So you're probably going to have these three. What I would typically do in this is I would play the kicker because you want Everett to be getting the lion's share. So maybe he's doing well. Maybe Mike Williams and some of those other guys aren't doing as well, but Herbert's still doing good enough that he deserves his flex spot, and Eckler's doing well enough that he deserves the flex spot. So I like putting the kicker in there, and then you kind of get to 15,200. I typically like to build 4 and 2 stacks. So we're going to have 4 Chargers players and then 2 Broncos players. So kind of at this point, you got $15,200. The easiest one here, if you're just going right for the $50,000, is you just play Melvin Gordon, you play Jerry Jeudy. That's one way to do it. And obviously, the Broncos offense doesn't have to do that great for those two guys because those are guys that are going to get touches pretty much guaranteed. If Jerry Jeudy catches the ball, that is, I guess. But
I don't know. I still feel like, Monday nights, I want to play both kickers. I just feel like
I don't like playing both.
McManus is probably going to be kicking a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I like McManus a lot more than Hopkins tonight. If you play him, you could play anybody at that point. Like, you could just turn this into an onslaught and you could play Mike Williams, where you have Gerald Everett in the captain spot. You could do Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Brandon or Hopkins, Mike Williams, and McManus. You could do that where it's just a 5-1 onslaught. If you
what about if you play? I mean, the Chargers defense doesn't look the greatest. That's why I was gonna say play them because you could, there's gonna be sacks.
Definitely but you can
sacks. Could be an interception.
Yeah. So here's one that you could do if you want to do like the same type of lineup. You do the Chargers defense with Hopkins and all that. Or even if you want to take Hopkins out, then you could put somebody else in. But we got plenty of money at this point in time. You could just play like a Melvin Gordon here. You could play a Courtland Sutton there or whatever. You're probably not playing Russell Wilson if you're playing the Chargers defense at that point because you're saying Russell Wilson kind of has a crappy game. But you want somebody that's kind of safe with Courtland Sutton, Melvin Gordon, somebody like that. And then you're leaving money on the table here. You got $2,400. So you're already making your lineup a little bit more unique because you're not spending $50,000 like everybody else. So that's one way to do it. I think... Let's just say, I think if you're playing cash tonight, I feel like if you're playing cash tonight, you're probably going to end up playing like Courtland Sutton in the champion spot. You're going to try to play Eckler. You're going to try to play Herbert together. And then you got to get creative from there. I think maybe in cash you can play Dulcich. I don't know if you can tonight or not. That's a good question.
I'm still a little nervous about him, but I mean, he could go off. I mean, he definitely is a good talented tight end, man.
Yeah. But I mean, like, okay, so if you want to play cash tonight, if you want to play Courtland Sutton in the champion spot, you play Russell Wilson with him as well. You play the two most popular guys in Eckler and Herbert. You play Greg Dulcich and you play McManus. You could also take Dulcich out, and then you'd have $1,200, which would get you not much better, honestly.
I think the upside of Dulcich is just it's good enough to just throw it in there and have some change hanging out, but.
Let's see. So damn, the FanDuel price tags suck. Some of the FanDuel price tags do suck. Let me see if I can bring up my sheet real quick because there's some guys on FanDuel that aren't that bad. Latavius Murray is probably somebody I wouldn't get to on FanDuel just because he's actually more expensive than Mike Boone. But that's also a way to get different in your lineups too because everybody else is probably thinking the same thing. FanDuel, I don't mind like Eric Sobert because he's $5,000, which is like the flat minimum on FanDuel. And, he's going to be on the field. He's going to get some targets. He might get 5 catches or whatever. Let me see. Monday Night Football for FanDuel. I mean, the price tags are pretty similar. Like when you convert over from DraftKings to FanDuel for most players, Mike Williams and Courtland Sutton are a little bit closer over there. I mean, there's lots of guys that take shots off on FanDuel, like Josh Palmer's $8,500, Gerald Everett's $8,000, Mike Boone's $7,500, KJ Hamler, if you want to take a shot on him, $7,000. Then you got Dulcich and Salbert at both $5,000. Just a lot of different ways to approach tonight's slate overall, though. And that's the fun of these single game slates is you see a lot of different things. The lineup that I did have up on the screen, this could be a cash build type one where you're just going to do a lot of popular players. Dulcich is kind of your punt. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you say you want to play Latavius Murray in this lineup, but if you're doing that, you're probably not playing it for cash. You're probably playing it for like a regular contest, like a GPP. And then, hey, you could even do this with Courtland Sutton, Latavius. Like you could play the Broncos defense in that situation and just say Herbert's going to get enough points and Eckler's still going to get enough points. Or you just play KJ Hamler. Like that's a GPP lineup right there as well. Let's see.
Ooh, Mike Williams looks amped. Mike Williams just looks super amped.
Yeah, I don't know if you were here when I was talking about him, but he's been really good. He's getting a lot of targets, but like everybody's kind of like, oh, Patrick Surtain's going to shut him down. But that's if he shadows him the whole time because Patrick Surtain hasn't given up more than 63 yards in a single game, but it only takes one big play.
I mean, I'm fine with 63 yards and a touchdown with 5 catches.
But here's the thing. He could also get like 40 yards and 2 touchdowns or something too and still pay off that way. So we could build one with Mike Williams here real quick. So we're playing Mike Williams. We're going to play Justin Herbert. I think if you're doing Mike Williams in the champion spot and you're playing Justin Herbert, I think maybe this is the lineup that you fade Eckler in.
They could do that.
I'm probably going to get like creative in this way. I feel like this is the lineup I want to stick like Mike Boone in or something. Still probably going to play one of these kickers. See, I think that's the reason that the Dustin Hopkins gets pretty popular is just because you're playing more Chargers guys in that champion spot, so you're more likely to use the Chargers kicker.
Yeah, but sometimes, if they're scoring touchdowns, then you're only getting, the extra point, right? Mm-hmm. But what you're hoping for is that the other side of the team, I mean, Denver is going to be just kicking, they're not going to be scoring touchdowns, or they're going to be kicking field goals. Mm-hmm. McManus is, we know that McManus can kick 50-yarders. Yep. So at that point, that's somebody that I'm okay with, collectively just putting in a lot of my lineups.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could
especially with how shitty the Denver Broncos have been.
Mm-hmm. We can put McManus in this one too. We have Mike Boone, McManus. Like, you can even turn. It's really interesting slate because you can even take like this and turn it into 4-2 in favor of Denver, but you're just concentrating the Chargers part. Or you could get like really weird and you could play Mike Boone and like Josh Kelly together, like the 2 second running backs, and then kind of go from there. But at that $8,100, you just kind of get stuck in this middle range too. I know Parker's in here. He's asking if I'm only using one lineup, what do you suggest? It really depends on your contest. So if you're playing single entry, you're probably going to see a lot of
Eckler,
Justin Herbert, and Austin Eckler in that champion spot. So if you're trying to win the contest, like just take it down completely, you're probably going to play like a Gerald Everett. You're probably maybe play like a Russell Wilson in the champion spot. If you're just trying to, convert your money over and make some money, you're probably going to want to play like a Justin Herbert line with, or like Austin Eckler or something like that. I am going to go over to some of my lineups that I have built already, just because it's going to save us a little bit of time. I'll share these with everybody. Some of my ones that I built are actually pretty weird though, but so this is a Mike Williams one in the champion spot. We got Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Mike Boone, Brandon McManus, and DeAndre Carter. So that is very concentrated towards the Chargers, obviously. You're getting a little bit different because you got Mike Boone in there, you got McManus, and then you got Carter together. But still, say Mike Williams is going to have the best game. The next one I have was Gerald Everett in the champion spot. Him with Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler. You're still getting that popular guys. Melvin Gordon's probably going to be pretty popular. Hopkins the kicker. And then we just have Jerry. Like, I think we went over this one already, honestly. So I'm not going to go spend too much time on that one. You see like the variant in the remaining salaries for the ones that I built is I try to do some that spend the whole 50,000. I tried to do some that leave, quite a bit of money left over on the table. Like this one, Chargers defense. We got Chargers defense. We got Austin Eckler. I got Josh Kelly and Eckler in the same line because maybe Austin Eckler's doing well early on, and then they kind of just get ahead with the defense, and then they pound it out with Josh Kelly. You still have McManus and like Gordon there as kind of safer plays on the Broncos side. The next one I have was Justin Herbert in the champion spot. We're stacking him with some of his wide receivers. This one, I believe, is Josh Palmer and Gerald Everett. You're sticking the kicker alongside with him. And then we got Melvin Gordon, Cortland Sutton's kind of safe plays on the opposite side. Next one was Justin Herbert with Mike Williams, Gerald Everett. And then we ended up with Mike Boone and Cortland Sutton on the other side. And then Russell Wilson in the champion spot. This is one that's probably not going to see a lot of play tonight. This is one of my last ones that I threw in was Russell Wilson. We're putting him with KJ Hamler and Greg Dulcich. So this is kind of like the risky one.
Sometimes they pay off.
But if Hamler and Dulcich are hitting, Russell Wilson's going to hit too. Then we have Melvin Gordon kind of burn out the clock, and then we still playing the 2 most popular players together with them. So it's kind of interesting slate overall tonight. I think if you're just using the one lineup, you're probably going to put like Herbert in the champion spot, honestly. Either that or Cortland Sutton. If you're trying to be different, you're going to put Russell Wilson or Gerald Everett. It would be my opinion. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. We're right at 7:00. I try to keep these, about a half hour long in general. So if anybody has any more questions, we'll leave it open for a couple minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to get out of here. But if you guys have any other questions before that point in time, you can always reach out to me on Twitter before the game starts.
Yeah, they're showing the Come On Man stuff, and SMU. They're showing that I think they scored a touchdown or something, and they were running their horse out on the field, and the horse was just shitting all over the field.
Oh God.
They had to go clean it up with cups.
Yeah, so I see Parker's in here. He's like, thanks so much for the help. Good luck tonight. Yeah. So once again, appreciate everybody that's been in here tonight. I know we got a couple more people. A couple of people coming back from Thursday. I know a couple of people chimed in definitely on Thursday, but Monday and Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time, whatever else you want to convert it to, is 45 minutes before the game starts, going for about 20, 30 minutes. I like to bring in guests when I can. JC was kind of my replacement guest tonight since my original guest got tied up with some family stuff, but I'm definitely going to have some other people in here as we get moving along too. But just kind of a fun little thing, talk through the slate. Every time you have a single game slate, you got to build lots of different lineups because there's lots of different ways the game can go, typically at least. So you're just trying to build a narrative when you're building a lineup. So just keep that in mind. If you guys have any other questions related to single game slates and you want to reach out in your free time, feel free to hit me up on Twitter as well at Coach Craig Sport. Definitely interested, I'm definitely wanting to help you guys. Also, the patreon.com/Coach Craig Sports. There's two different ones. One's got the snap count spreadsheets, the matchup sheets, weekly rankings for fantasy football for a small donation. And then for a little bit bigger one, there's the DFS where I have my weekly player pool for the main slate for both FanDuel and DraftKings. And then we'll be doing, and then I have for the single game slates as well, as much as possible. Definitely has the Thursday night and the Monday night. Sometimes, usually the Sunday's in there too in that tab. So Parker just said, what kind of contest do I typically do? I do lower priced ones that are 20 maxes is what I typically do, because I can take $5 and put one entry in one contest. But with these single games, there's a lot of different ways the slate can go. So I'd rather take, that $5, split it in a bunch of 25-cent contests, 20 max something out, or, a lot of times I've entered 8 to 12 contests and upwards of $1 or whatever too. I play a lot, but I don't play a lot of high dollar stakes at this point in time, just because part of this is gambling and you got to know what you're able to spend at the same time. And part of playing DFS is building up your bankroll too, whether that's doing double ups, whether it's doing different types of cash games, or just, continually cashing in GPP over and over again. That's a little bit harder way to do it, but don't play too much cash for single games though. It's just, there's very little room for error though. So probably a little bit better on some of the main slates, or, like the afternoon early, or the afternoon slate, or the early slate, excuse me. But once again, appreciate everybody that did come out today. Be sure to check out the stream on Thursday as well. We got JC Money over here. Plug anything you want to plug real quick.
Well, if you just want to come check out the show, we do Twitter Spaces too. So, if you have Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at JCMoneyDesign. We do some stuff for WagerWire, which is kind of a betting site. They do some cool stuff with betting. You can buy and sell bets midway through, say an open bet. So if you got a bet all that's going through the whole year and you want to jump off or jump on a bet, you can basically do it. So it's like stocks, but bets, which is pretty cool. But come check us out on Tuesday night. We're going to be doing one at 6:30. Actually, we have a special guest coming on. He's a lineman. He played, I think, for I think he played for the Texans, if I'm mistaken. But
who is it?
I have to look it up. I'll send you something later. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It should be awesome because he does a lot of things too. So yeah, after football. But we've been doing a lot of these interviews, and we're also giving away a jersey. Somebody already won it, but there's some things coming. I know WagerWire is also going to be giving away another $50 gift card to Amazon. They gave it to one of our guys that does some more content too. But it's cool because they are doing a lot of giveaways and a lot of these shows. But Tuesday nights we do a show at 6. Basically, I think it would be 7:30 Eastern, and then on Saturday nights you do a show with us too, and that's a blast. It's late night. So
10 o'clock Eastern. I see Parker's in here too. He just said, what's GPP or what's GBP, but it's actually GPP. So it's a guaranteed prize pool tournament. Most of the times you'll see them on like DraftKings. It's just when you go to tournaments, it's the regular ones. It's not the 50-50 or a double up or anything else like that. It just pays out to like the top X percent, which is like top 20%. Sometimes it's 25%, sometimes it's 30%. And in that type of one, like if you get first, you get X amount of money. So maybe it's 10 grand versus like a cash game, which is I put in $1. And if I'm in the top half, I get $2 back. Essentially, that's a double up.
Yeah.
It's kind of confusing at first, but it's really not too bad. If you have any more questions about that, feel free to reach out at any time. But with that being said, we're already running a little bit long here, so I'm just going to try to get out of here. Thanks to everybody that did tune in tonight overall. Good luck to you guys. Hopefully you guys win some money. It's always fun talking through these slates. It's always fun having other people in here as well, but I'm just going to get out of here real quick. And if you guys have anything else between now and the start of the game, just feel free to reach out to me on Twitter as well. Yep. So we got Parker said, got you. Thanks again. Thank you for stopping by, Parker. I think you were one of the people that popped up last Thursday as well, but definitely be sure to check out the stream on Thursday. It's going to be another interesting game too. I can't even remember who the game is, but off the top of my head, I was looking at it a little bit earlier. David said we better behave. Yeah. Well, no promises. No promises, Dad. But once again, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks to everybody that did tune in, and be sure to check out the next one on Thursday as well.